Alrighty, welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and FightBackMediaTV.com. Trust that you are well today. We are recording the Morning Report to be put up on YouTube here in a couple of hours, and also live on TikTok. Why? Why not? Because I tell you why. Because I got one of these and I added it to the new lighting. Can you tell? Not that jacked up light behind me. That's something I just. It's not very good, but I like. How about that? Alrighty. For those of you who are on TikTok who may not know, I've been doing podcasting before podcasting was cool. We started our first podcast back in 2008 in March, and this was right before Barack Obama was running for president, and all that stuff was going on. And we started the program on Blog Talk Radio. Again, even if you're watching on YouTube, and you wonder where'd you come from, and did you just show up recently? Are you one of those grifters who's gonna start selling merch and ask me for my days of asking for financial support for the podcast ended long ago. So, and even on TikTok, people don't sometimes give you little gifts and like roses and stuff. I haven't gotten like any of that stuff in forever, and definitely haven't earned any money doing it. That's for sure. Uh, we just like to bring up things and discuss them here. I'm in this forum. And you're welcome to comment. Obviously, those of you who tuned in on TikTok, I can't reach you and interact with you the way that you want to be interacted with when I approach these topics. So we just have to do the best we can. All right. One of the first things I want to talk about is your girl Sheila Jackson Lee, U.S. rep from the 18th district in Texas. She was at Booker T. Washington High School. Of course, a black high school is called Booker T. Washington. Before I get to the story, would it not be a win, W-I-N, a win, if the school in the predominantly white section of town was named after some black educator or black leader? That the school in the somewhere in the nice neighborhood, in the predominantly white neighborhood, was Shirley Chisholm High School. Would that not be more of a win than the black school being called BT Washington or George Washington Carver or MLK or Malcolm X? Wouldn't that be more of a win? Okay. Now, those of you who've been watching me for a long time know that I am not a fan of naming government buildings after people to start with. There's lots of problems with that. But anyway, that was a rabbit trail. I apologize. Anyway, she tweets, today I created an opportunity to see a unique and solar experience for students at BT Washington High School. That somehow she created this experience. Oh, yesterday there was a solar eclipse. Sheila, did you create the eclipse? How? Something that happens all the time. Doesn't happen very often, but it happens regularly. Okay. And she further tweets, as a member of the Science Committee and former ranking member of the Space and Aeronautics Committee, this was an irreplaceable moment. Not even sure that's a very good sentence, but okay. And there's a picture of her and somebody, I don't know if that's her staff member, with the glasses on, staring into the sky, like a lot of us were yesterday. But during her speech, when her address to the kids, she said this: "You have the energy of the moon at night. The energy of the moon? Anyway, at night, seeming she seems like she misunderstands that the moon doesn't have any energy of its own. The moon just reflects the sun. The sun's already always out there, and that's why we see the moon. And and sometimes you've heard the word full moon. She continued. Sometimes you need to take the opportunity to just come out and see a full moon, which the graduate of Yale explained is a complete rounded circle which is made up of mostly gas. The full moon is a complete rounded circle that is made up of mostly gases. Well, what we've learned is the moon, Representative Jackson, is a big rock that doesn't have any gas around it, as far as we can tell. You can land on it. It's not a ball of gas. As a matter of fact, there's a notable lack of gases on the moon. That's why you got to put on the big space suit. There's no, anyway. So she continued. Continued. That's why the question saying that's why the question is why or how could we as humans live on the moon? The gas is such that we can do it. The representative who previously served on the House's Science Committee and Space and Aeronautics Committee claimed, according to NASA, the moon's weak atmosphere and its lack of liquid water cannot support life as we know it, but seemingly not as Sheila Jackson knows it. What we know is there's no water, and there doesn't seem to have ever been any water on the moon, uh, and there's no air, there's no atmosphere, especially atmosphere that humans can live in. Uh, so, continuing on her celestial tour, she also said the sun is a mighty powerful heat, and it's almost impossible to go near the sun, while the moon is more manageable. Really? Hopefully, students will remember viewing Monday solar eclipse and promptly forget what Jackson Lee's dubious, dubious science lesson. It's just like someone just saying words. Now, not everybody knows about everything. And some of us who are on, and I've probably been accused of it and probably been guilty of it from time to time. Um, in my time, again, I've been doing this since 2008. So there's probably some times that I have just been saying words. But when people started to notice, and again, when you promote yourself and you tweet these things and you put it out there to take credit for stuff, then you sort of it's like which is why I never get upset when people criticize me. When they criticize me here on YouTube or they criticize me there on TikTok, I don't get upset when they criticize me because I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to put it out there. I didn't. I could have just stayed in bed. I could have just slept late. I could have. I could have gone outside for a walk. I could have had another cup of coffee. Hmm, I could have, but I put it out there. And if I get it wrong, then I have to suffer the consequences. Now, when people noticed that Sheila Jackson Lee had gotten some incredibly, I think, incredibly easy facts just slap wrong. I mean, just like, what the hell is she talking about? You know what I'm saying? When she got some of these things absolutely wrong. And somebody brought it to others, brought it to someone's attention when they noticed it, right? Now she's all mad and saying that Republicans should just be concentrating on the important things. Blah, 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 blah. Now, obviously, I misspoke. Okay, you didn't just misspeak. She didn't just misspeak. She was just saying words. And a lot of times, like at the beginning of the Barack Obama administration, I don't even blame the politician. I blame the staff. So you didn't prepare your boss before she got up in front of people and then had it recorded. So she got up in front of like a lot of people in the planet and just said these words. You didn't prepare her at all. Now she should have asked if she, because okay, again, you don't have to know. You don't have to know. So if you don't know, you go. So why do these eclipses take place? What actually happens? Because a lot of us have heard of eclipses and there are solar eclipses and there are lunar eclipses. What actually happens? What gets in front of explain it to me so when I talk to the kids, I'll sound like I know I'm talking about, right? But that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So she was just saying words, taking credit for this predominantly black school because it's how do you know? Because it's called BT Washington. That they wouldn't have sort of giving the impression that they wouldn't have been able to go outside, get some eclipse glasses that people were giving away, and go see the eclipse. Like somehow they wouldn't have been able to do it because they were poor black kids. This was the impression that she was trying to get, and somehow these poor black kids were being stopped by the evil white Republicans from going outside and looking at and experiencing the solar eclipse. Hmm. This is why I have suggested for years that some of us should throw off these people. Let's throw them off. If anyone believes that you can't be successful without them, that's a bad relationship. If you are in a relationship with another person and they basically tell you to your face that you can't be successful if you don't have them in your life, you should throw them off. Democrats have been doing that to black folks and poor people for a long time. And basically, this has been the crux of my podcasting career since 2008, to try to bring some sort of awareness to people and point out when it happens, because we just get so used to stuff that sometimes we don't even know when it happens. We don't even know when it happens. This is one of those things, and it's right there in your face. And it's right there in your face. That somehow, without her, that she created this situation. She created the situation. How did she create it? They could have just gone outside. Well, Willie, she didn't say that. Her tweet was, "Today, I created the opportunity to see a unique science and solar experience for the students of BT Washington," which means that she created this experience. No, she didn't say that she created the eclipse, but she created an opportunity for the kids to go outside and look up at the sky. No, she didn't. My guess is that she was going to go outside, that they were going to go outside anyway. The kids that were at school, because I'm sorry, you're black and you're poor. You can't afford to go outside right now. We're only taking the rich white kids outside to see the eclipse. Oh, and the Asians. What? She could have said that I got to experience this unique science and whole experience with the students. It was cool being there with them as they were, but to say I created the opportunity to see what? What you say and how you say it matters. You know, Maya Angelou said basically when once people tell you who they are, believe them. And in order for you to know who they are, listen to what they're saying. I listen to what they are saying. One of the biggest criticisms I got during the time of President Obama's administration, uh, all spurred from I would just say I just said what he said. I didn't add anything to it. I didn't read anything into it. I just said what he said and said, "Well, what's that mean?" Oh, you know what it means. No, I'll just listen to what you said, which I think is a guy thing. I mean, I think it's truly a guy thing, right? And I know that's a terrible thing to say, right? But it is what it is, right? It's a guy thing. Just listen to what you said. So it's important just to say what you mean, right? So I try to do that. Sheila Jackson Lee was just spewing words, and it's a shame because it made her look dumb. And I know that sometimes here, even on TikTok or whatever, people will say, "Well, Willie, you look dumb now." Okay, that may very well be true. May very well be true. But if I'm just saying words, then maybe I am dumb. All right. Florida news. Florida news. Yesterday, the governor of Florida, who was a former candidate for president of the United States, Ron DeSantis, signed into legislation, signed into signed legislation into a law that increased penalties for people who have decided that they are going to run into retail establishments and just start stealing crap like they have in other parts of the country. Now, it isn't a huge problem in the state of Florida like it is in other places. And I think there's a reason for that. I might just be saying words at this point, but I think there's a reason for that. Because in Florida, especially in some of these smaller towns, what you don't know is who's packing. You go into the mom and pop shop, you don't know who has got a Glock on their hip. You just don't know. So he signs this bill in Stewart, Florida, in Martin County, which is a fairly small community. A lot of people from other places move here because it is small, it is quiet, and it is old Florida, basically. It's not Miami or Orlando or even Tampa, Fort Myers, or a place like that. It's a fairly rural, quiet Florida place. It's old Florida, and in old Florida, you go to the mom and pop shop, or you go to the Dollar General, and somebody in the Dollar General may be packing. Yes, even in the national chains, they might be. They're there late. It's only a store on that road. But what people don't know, what criminals don't know, is like if you go in there and you're just going to grab a bunch of stuff and run out, you may not be able to run out. What's that Madeira line? You may walk over here, but you'll limp back. Come on, Cletus. And so we don't have the same level of problem that happens other places. And now there have been some preemptive measures put into place that if someone's thinking about it, then they're going to be more penalty. Then the penalties will be enhanced. And in this law, that actually is an addendum to a law that has already been put in place. There's been an addition of bigger penalties for porch pirates. When we're talking about that 40% of people in America have had something stolen off their porch, had something delivered to their home that was stolen off their porch. Nearly half the people in America. That's an outrageous number. Especially going back to the time where, and we laugh about it in my house all the time, that uh, we used to get milk delivered. Remember, we used to get milk, and people used to get milk and eggs and ice cream delivered to their homes. Remember, anybody but me remember that? If you remember that on TikTok, put a number one in the comments. If you've ever gotten milk or eggs or dairy products or whatever delivered to your house. Home grocery delivery is not a new thing. It's just still not a new thing. Well, the milkman would come and drop stuff off. Huh? Interesting. So when you have and that and people didn't steal your milk. It was outside in this little metal box. No one came in, ran away with your milk. It didn't happen, even if they needed it. That just didn't happen. Or eggs or cheese or whatever you got from the dairy people, right? That didn't happen. So why now? People have had 40% of people in America have had. I think it's 44% of people in America have had something stolen off their porch. And this isn't a racial thing. There's plenty of ring camera footage of some of everybody. I mean, it's one of those things that if something unites a people on race and gender and ethnicity is who porch pirates are. It's crazy. So now, anyway, our governor has decided that he added porch piracy to this bill to enhance penalties for people doing it. Cool. A proactive strike, right? Although it isn't as bad here as it is in places like San Francisco or New York or Chicago or bigger cities, I guess. Now, at the same time, San Francisco, I read this yesterday, San Francisco has decided what they're going to do is they're going to, with these stores that are closing in these cities, uh, Walmart, for instance, in Chicago, this is an incredible stat for me. Walmart has never, in almost 20 years of being in Chicago, ever made a profit from any of their stores. How is that possible? It's an unbelievable thing. And I don't want to believe them, but I kind of do. And they are closing stores. I love how TikTok has a little thing that says learn more about US elections, that the Chinese TikTok is saying that if I'm saying anything political, that you should click on that and let them tell you about US elections. Get out of here. In any case, um, um, San Francisco has decided that if a store wants to close due to theft, retail theft, then they have to give the city council 6 months of notice and put up flyers at the entry and exit ways in their stores saying their intentions, which means, hey, we're planning on closing. So y'all just ransack this damn place, right? And if they don't put the signs up or give notice, people who have been affected by the store's closing can sue them. Now, if you are Target or Walmart, closing the store is just a hit on your financial ledger, and that you open a store somewhere else to make up for it. But if you are a smaller local mom and pop shop who is just getting hammered and you're just hanging on day to day, and let's be real, a lot of these stores are just hanging on day to day. Can we be open today? Can we pay our bills today? Can we pay for electricity and our employees and our insurance today? A lot of places are just like that. Well, we got through this payroll. Whew, we got through this month. Whew. Not that anybody's making a bunch of money, but we got through. They need the flexibility of being able to decide, oh yeah, we're going to be closed next week. We're not opening tomorrow. We can't pay our bills as it is. We can't continue to bleed money. We'd love to be open. We'd love to be here because we've been in business here 30, 40 years. We'd love to continue it, but it's not fiscally possible. And it's not fiscally possible to give some 6 month notice to see if the city council will approve your closing, and then let every criminal in the in the hood know that you're closing. So just go in there and wreak havoc doesn't seem like the way you ought to go. Seems like the way you ought to go is, not lock, not locking up your toothpaste, but locking up your criminals. That's what's happening in Florida. I know you may not come here. We are closed. Uh, you may not come here. We are closed. Crazy. Absolutely. Absolutely crazy. All right. A new poll might cause some Democrats to chill on their voter registration drives. Now, I got to say, for years and years, I think Democrats did this so much better than Republicans. For a couple of reasons, I think they did it better. I think they did it better because they're just more organized, and they're ready to pay people to do the jobs that people won't volunteer for. Rabbit trail, rabbit trail. This for me has been one of the largest hurdles to get over when talking to conservatives and Republicans. Conservatives and Republicans, especially Republicans, want everybody to volunteer for everything. The problem is that people have to work in this country. And you can't say on one hand that you have to work and then expect people to volunteer. Because what you end up with is you end up with a demographic. And the demographic that you end up with are retirees, people who are not working every day, or the unemployed, right? Who need to be looking for a job, not volunteering for some political party or some candidate, right? So you just never have the number of people that you need to get the job done. So what Democrats have done, and the left has done for years, and I think it just makes sense, is they use as many volunteers as they can get. Normally young people who don't have the same responsibilities. They're not, paying mortgages and stuff. They're in school, so they do have some time, and they supplement that volunteer force, and even even part of that force they pay, so you can be, you know, active not just during election times, but in off election time, off election years. One of the examples that I always give is that the Obama election machine never went to sleep. Republicans are mystified, I think, even to this day. How did a president with such bad numbers going in 2012 win that election? Some would say now that there was cheating, and now the thing is gone underneath there. On my TikTok thing, there's a little banner that said, "Learn more about U.S. elections." How they win? I don't necessarily believe that there was any skullduggery. What I think is that they were just more organized. That machine never went to sleep. It just never went to sleep. Oh, it's back. It just never went to sleep. The name of the website changed. The name of the organization changed, but it was always active. Because how do you know that? Because I signed up for the website when President Obama was running for office in 2008. I signed up for it. I wanted to see what was on it because the Republican candidate didn't have a website at the time. Isn't that crazy? That John McCain didn't have a website. Did not have a website. John McCain said to his supporters that he'd never even sent an email. It was Superman versus Deputy Dog. We were doomed in 2008. And then in 2012, it was Barack Obama against the whitest man in America, Mitt Romney. Lord have mercy. But that machine never went to sleep. They didn't have any off election years. They did not. But it's interesting. So for years, Democrats and Republican activist groups have rolled out one of the mainstays of the campaign season, voter registration. Now, the problem is that Republicans have been using it during campaign season. Democrats have not. They've been using it all along. There are arguments for and against these operations. It's good to pad the rolls with party members, expanding the base for future elections at the state, local, and federal levels. Then again, there's no guarantee that these people will show up to vote. That's for true. So it's a numbers game. Get as many people as you can, talk to them, have continuous conversations, and I think that's where Republicans have failed, and conservatives especially have failed all along. There are no continuous conversations. What you have are shows like mine and Rush Limbaugh and you name it. And what you have is echo chambers. We have continuous echo chambers. What we don't have is continuous conversations. Again, so there's no guarantee that the people will show up to vote. So was pitching a tent, setting up a table, registering someone who never voted before, let alone bother to register, worth the time um, than saying calling numerous super voters and canvassing their neighborhoods and reminding them. See, again, this is where I think conservatives and Republicans fail because we always act like we only do one thing at a time. Pitch the tent, have the table up, register someone who have never voted before and may never actually ever vote. Yes, and at the same time, call up all your super voters. Can't go in their neighborhoods. Do it all. And I think this is something that Democrats have done historically better than Republicans. Do them all. So either way, these drives are considered necessary to any operation. But a new Marquette Law School poll might put the cooler on these drives, which Democrats often tout. As it turns out, these folks who never voted or registered to vote are pretty fond of Trump. Those registered and certain to vote break for Biden over Trump 52 to 48. registered on the fence come election day break Trump 56, Biden 44. And the unregistered are on the MAGA train 64 to 36. Now, this is in this one Marquette Law School poll. The registered and are certain to vote break for Biden over Trump. But the registered, but on the fence come election day, break for Trump 56-44. And the unregistered, the people who are like, they're if pushed, they're 64-36 over Biden. So maybe Democrats don't want to go out there and get these people registered. Or maybe Scott Presler has the right idea. I see Scott Presler on Instagram and on X celebrating, going to this town and registering 10 people, getting 10 people to switch, 15 people to switch. And it just seems like, wow, that's a lot of effort for. No, the idea is Scott saying that we all ought to be doing this. And at the same time, which is why he had a problem with Ronna McDaniel, at the same time, you got to do the rest of the stuff too. You got to do all of it. Logan Dobson, who's a pollster, tweeted, expect Democrats to very subtly stop talking about how important it is to register new voters and increase turnout. And actually, voting is sort of lame if you think about it, right? They just want their super voters to come out and do their jobs, right? Some replied, wondering if this poll meant that Republicans would now look back on automatic voter registration. But is this new? In 2016, millions who have never voted before cast their ballot for the then unknown populist and something totally different candidacy of Donald Trump, right? The not an ordinary politician point still sells with Trump, though he can no longer cast himself as an outsider. And this is something else that we have to really have a conversation about. Donald Trump's not an outsider. He's been president of the United States. That, he turned in his outsider card when he became president of the United States. He knows too much. Maybe this cycle, more attention should be given to the new voter registration, since unlike in past campaigns, when folks decided to go MAGA, they're animated, motivated, and will likely remember to vote come election day. It is up to the campaign to get those ironclad commitments in the months and weeks leading up to election day through voter outreach. Another component is one of the GOP has often issued, but ballot harvesting save the House from remaining in Democratic hands. Something that we don't do, something that they've done really, really well. So if there are mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, and there is assisted living facility that people there may not be able to, they may forget to mail them in. Go knock on those doors. We know, or if your area is run well, who has an absentee ballot. Hey, listen, did you get that absentee ballot turned in? Make sure you do. We can take that for you. Okay. Make sure that it's all filled out correctly, that the outside, all the stuff that they need for it to be counted, that is there on the day that it needs to be there, by the time it needs to be there. And you may not have enough volunteers to do it, so you might have to pay somebody. You might. We may not like it, but election day vote can no longer be counted on to counter the avalanche of early votes. I am an early voter, and I'm an early voter because it's first of all convenient to me, and so second of all, it always gave me opportunity to do other stuff on election day because I'd already cast my ballot. I was already good, right? So I wasn't stuck in some long line on election day, and I wasn't able to, help out at other polling sites other than my own. I wasn't able to, help with reminding people to go vote. I wasn't, if I'm stuck there, I wasn't able to be here doing this. So early voting is something that we really should also embrace and take over. So I think that this is a new piece of the infrastructure that the RNC and its new leadership need to embrace and get good at. Will the Trump campaign push it aggressively? I don't know. A lot of those people are really stuck in how it used to work, and it doesn't work like that anymore. Anyway, hope I've given you something to think about today. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. You can check us out on TikTok at fightbackmedia. Now, I don't know how long TikTok's going to be around. I imagine it's going to be around forever because it's this thing called a VPN. Ta-da. Well, they're trying to ban TikTok. Now my phone thinks it's in, I don't know, Yugoslavia, where TikTok is not banned. Stop it. Stop it. In any case, I got to get out of here before somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye bye now.